Welcome to the Coaching Table. I'm Thomas Thompson, leadership coach with Lead Self, Lead Others. And this is a weekly experience I've created where it's kind of like you and I sitting across the table from each other, just having a drink and having a conversation about important things that matter that will help leaders like you lead yourself well so that you're living well and so that you're finishing well. Now, each week I invite you at the end of the conversation to keep the conversation going by maybe scrolling down and shooting me an email or even scrolling up to that button that says reply with video. And I've really enjoyed some of those conversations. A friend of mine, Steve, shot me a video. We've been having kind of a video chat back and forth about a coaching table topic I did last year called waiting. And I'll link that below in the email. And in this conversation, he reminded me of something that someone that we had both admired had written once. And they said this: sometimes you're waiting because you're not ready. Sometimes you're waiting because they're not ready. And sometimes you're waiting because it's not ready. And I've been thinking about that a lot because I can understand why I'm not ready and God's not moving because He's waiting on me to do something, or I can, and same thing in someone else's life. But what does it really mean when it's not ready? When you're waiting for God to act or move somewhere outside of you. And that thought took me to Isaiah 55 verses 8 and 9. Listen to these this week. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. This tells me that while I try to figure things out, while I'm trying to reason through things, there are just things beyond my view. I can see the square that I'm in, but God can see the entire chessboard, and He has a strategy in place. Now, this truth hit home for me a few years ago when we moved to Colorado Springs. We moved here in 2008 in the middle of a housing bust, and our house in Texas did not sell. It didn't sell for months and months, and the six of us, Jessica and I, our family, ended up living in my in-laws' basement for 9 months. Now, they were very gracious and we loved being with them, but 9 months in a basement with 6 people was a tough time of waiting. And my mind kept running through all the reasoning. My thoughts were at work. God, what are you doing? This doesn't make sense. Why would you bring us here and not help us find a home? Do you not want us to live here? Did we make a mistake? What was God doing? I couldn't reason it out. And all I could do was just see the square that I was in and seek God for what He was teaching me. And He was teaching me some very powerful things about patience and trust. But I felt like a pawn on a chessboard. I was untouched, unmoved. I was ready to go, and yet there I sat. Finally, after 9 months, our home sold, and Jessica and I were so excited. We jumped in the car and said, let's go look for houses. We started driving around. We saw this home. We walked inside. The minute we crossed the threshold, we looked at each other and said, this is our home. It was perfect for us, and we lived there for a decade, raising our family. Now, here's the thing. If our house in Texas had sold any day prior in those 9 months, this house wouldn't have been ready. While we were sitting in our square wondering what God was up to, His thoughts were so higher than ours, He was on the other side of the board getting our place ready. I want to encourage you. You may feel right now like this pawn. You're sidelined, you're confined to a single square on the board or maybe a basement. But even though you cannot see it, God is at work on the other side of the board. He is moving pieces around as part of His strategy. And His ways and thoughts are too far above ours for us to figure it all out. So we have to trust. And we also do this. While we wait, we see the space around us and what God is showing us as we wait on His next move. Here's your coaching table question for this week. As I await His next move, what is God showing me in the space I'm in? As I await His next move, what is God showing me in the space that I'm in? I encourage you to take that question with you throughout this week. Take it into your own dinner table and conversations, personal development time with your own leadership coach. I'd love to be a part of this conversation as to what God is showing you. You can scroll down and send me an email, or be like Steve and shoot me a video. It's fun. As always, I'll be here next Monday morning with a new way for us to have a conversation about leading yourself well. And until then, you're always welcome at the coaching table.